Hello, good evening, folks. Welcome to the February 20th, 2024 meeting of the Northfield Selectboard. This meeting will be called to order. First up, for scheduled appointments, we have at 6 p.m. with Officer Oleg Kobylanski on the appointment of part-time officer Dale Brown and a meet and greet with Curtis Weaver. Gentlemen, please come up.
Good evening.
Grab another chair there.
Wow, it's the first time I've ever seen Oleg get a uniform. Look at that.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him.
So, there was a screening and hiring process for the individual brought before us.
No, part-time officers.
Typically not.
No,
but-
for Curtis.
Certainly
You're talking
for
about
Officer
Curtis.
Weaver.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. That was done a while back, and we moved forward with an appointment for Curtis a few meetings ago. And so that took care of that, and but we couldn't get him into for a meet and greet. So
He was in training.
yeah, he was in training. He was doing his bridge stuff.
DT? Yeah, okay.
And then on the recommendation for part-time employment, the chief recommended Dale Brown to come forward for to help fill in shifts and to help out here in Northfield. So, Mr. Brown, I see you have chosen Northfield to become part of your employment. What has brought you to our municipality?
Well, I like the town. I've been through it several times. I live down in Sunderland. I do some part-time policing down there as well. Great community when I visited, and known Chief Hall for a while. He had talked to me about it, and the opportunity came up, and I discussed it with my wife, and said, well, that might be a good place to go kind of see what it's like up there.
So, you have a background in military and in corrections, I understand.
Correct. Yes, I did. 15 years in the United States Air Force. Retired in 2014 as a master sergeant. And at that time, we were living in Georgia, and my wife is from this area. And we moved back up here and kind of got settled. And I started off at the Hampshire County Sheriff's Office, and worked there from 2015 till 2020, in which I took at the time the deputy chief's position at the Holyoke Community College.
Mm-hmm. So. And how has been your experience working with college individuals?
It's great. It's a good place because you get that opportunity to dive into things, and you don't always have to use that criminal justice system. And you have kind of the student conduct, so you can take it a different route. So you don't always have to go and use the full scale of the justice system, and you get those chances to kind of intervene and
So it's
help
kind of like
people.
a school resource officer, helping, keeping people out of the
Very,
criminal justice
very
system.
much so, yeah. And that's been our motto there, is to kind of, we don't want to, people come to school to go to school, not to get entered into the criminal justice system. So working with the youth and getting them kind of gives them an intro, so they can get them on the right path and kind of keep them squared away.
So I see you have a lot of trainings here. Things, a whole bunch of them. But active shooter, integrated response, mounted optics instructor for pistol. It looks like Reserve Intermediate Academy a few years back. So a lot of trainer. So a lot of up-to-date trainings.
Yep, try to keep myself current, and I run a department there now. I'm the chief at Holyoke Community College, so I'm also the head trainer there for all the training tasks that have to be kept up on. So,
what are your long-term goals in law enforcement?
Long term, eventually I do want to get to be a chief in like a small town municipality. Okay. That's kind of my long-term goal.
And Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from the American Military University.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Very nice. What do you hope to accomplish here in Northfield?
Gain more municipal experience. It's probably where I lack a little because I deal with the college, so we don't deal with the court system as much.
Yep.
Because we do, like I said, try to keep things out of there. And dealing with the sheriff's office, I didn't really get a chance to go out on the road a lot. I did civil process for a while with the sheriff's office, but so that's kind of why I like to keep my foot in the door in the municipality so that I can learn all aspects of kind of how Massachusetts does their the court systems.
Yep.
So, and it is different from the military court system. So I have a lot of experience in the military court system, but it is different. So
Yeah, I understand that. I'm all set. Anybody else?
I do have a question. So the chief has really set up our community policing initiative, and he really is out in the officers are up and out in the community and meeting in a non-punitive way, right? Meeting and building relationships. How do you think that you will fit into that framework?
I love being out in the community. I love educating people. A lot of the things. So even if it's going, like some of the active shooter response stuff, and just talking to people about, do they have a plan, and those types of things, I think is big. As far as like community policing in general, I always like to approach things as a police officer from an education standpoint. So educate people on the law, because sometimes people don't know, and just let them know. Maybe something as simple as like the seatbelt click it or ticket, things like that. Helping out with some of those campaigns, and a lot of those things you can do.
Heath, Bernie, anything?
Do you know what shift you're going to be working?
Part time, I'll kind of fill those roles.
Whenever we
Oh, okay,
need.
good.
Like vacation
Excellent.
relief.
Yeah, good. We need that.
So, do you have any additional questions about the position? What your rate will be as a part-time officer, the fact that it will be a non-benefited position?
Nope.
You
Yeah, that's
understood?
all been explained to me.
All squared away?
Yep,
Cool.
I'm squared away on that.
Okay. And this will doesn't look like there's a grade and step associated with this. It's just
Part-time officers
an
have a
hourly.
rate.
Yep, an hourly wage. So which will be $23.85 per hour. So at this time, I'll hear a motion for Mr. Brown, if anybody.
Do you want to just read that off, and then
Sure.
I'll do a so moved, so that we've got all the
Well,
facts in the motion?
So I'll hear a motion to appoint Dale Brown as a part-time patrol officer with the town of Northfield, effective upon completion of the conditions and activities below, which is typical pre-employment stuff. As a part-time, non-benefited officer at the rate of $23.85 per hour, effective upon those conditions.
So moved.
Any further discussion on that
Second.
motion? Second, yep, thank you. Any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval. Thank you for your thought. Welcome to the town of Northfield,
Welcome.
Mr. Brown. Very exciting. So, we'll get you all taken care of there, and look forward to seeing you on patrol and bringing you in for an update at some point to see how your experiences are going.
And we're introducing Officer Weaver. 'Cause-
That's correct.
Yeah.
So, hi, Curtis.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
happy to be here.
We've seen all your pictures on Facebook, so
I
we
know.
know you've been out and about.
We were talking about.
Yay!
Yeah, that was great. Man. We were talking about how much we love seeing on your resume. You're just like you're chilling with Santa Claus right up in the corner. there.
Exactly. That's who I am. I figured I would show that.
Yeah. So, how are things going so far?
It's really smooth. I'm just happy to be here. It's a good change of pace. And Chief Hall does a really good job with the community policing, and that's what I'm all for.
How do you hope to effectively implement some of your community policing methodologies into town here?
Yeah, so I grew up in the area. I grew up in Bernardston, but I went to Pioneer, so I do know a lot of faces in Northfield. And over the last 3 weeks, I've ran into a bunch of people that I have crossed paths with, whether it be in school or just out in the community.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope to attend events that are happening, stop by MIMS, have some coffee. I feel as every time I go in there, I know somebody in there. We get caught up talking while drinking coffee, and it's a good feeling. But yeah, I just want to put myself out there. Whenever I see something going on, just engage people and join in and have a good time with it.
Absolutely. Outstanding. And you have experience in corrections as well.
I
as
do,
understand.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's a small world. Dale and I actually did the Reserve Academy together back in 2018.
Yep.
And he did the CO Academy the year after me. So we've crossed paths.
He used to lead our PT. He would come out and sit for my class.
Do the cadences.
It's a small world, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Didn't really have much else other than that. I think there's a good amount of individuals who are aware that you've been hired at this point. So something I implemented probably at least 4 years ago now was anybody that is employed, whether you're working one shift a week at the library or part-time or full-time, bring them in, put a name with the face, and just kind of, shoot the breeze for a few minutes. But yeah, if we're all set. Anything else, Oleg, you'd like to
No,
add?
I think that's it. I just want to say that Officer Weaver so far has been doing a great job, and we're happy to have him part of our team. And now, in addition to our team, Officer Brown. So we're excited.
All right. Well, you've been
Great.
officially appointed, and so you're good to go once on the contingency of the typical pre-employment stuff is taken care of, which probably won't be a big deal. But once again, thank you for your call to public service and for having you on the team here. So thanks a lot, gentlemen.
And
Thank you for your time.
just thanks to Officer Oleg for getting onto the building committee too.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Whatever you have to do.
Yeah, do we want to do that now? Because he's here?
Just for a second. We just since you were here, I wanted to
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do the
Okay.
appointment.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
We never
just-
get to do those in person, the committee ones.
The
So
meeting, but we can do it again.
it's okay.
So, Oleg, you obviously know about the Emergency Services Committee. Chief Hall spoke to you about this. It's
Yeah.
just like,
He
yeah, sure,
already-
Oleg's going to do it, right?
Yeah, I went to the meeting.
He
last
did go to the
we had.
meeting. Yeah.
And I thought I was appointed at the meeting, but do I have to be appointed by the select board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does he get any? Those are. How long are those meetings?
Depends,
Oh.
hour and a half, sometimes 2
It
hours.
was
Are you on
a
the clock
good.
for that, or they expect you to
Yeah,
volunteer?
usually it's on my day on.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, so.
Because I anytime you sign up for something like that, at least throw a couple comp hours towards your way if it's off your day. If it's not when you're on, but
Yeah.
as long as you're on the clock, I guess that's fine. And that's something you want to be a part of? You have
Yes.
no problem? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're off to a good start.
It was a great meeting last week.
Yeah.
Great.
I'll motion that we appoint Officer Kovalevsky to Emergency Services Facility Building Committee. Term expires 12/31/24.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, you're on the committee.
Now you can leave.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
You all
all.
get something.
See you around now.
Keep Oleg in line.
Yeah. Keep an eye on him.
So now we're up at 6:15 p.m.
Oh.
That's what it's about right there. It's the community
See?
values.
He knows everybody.
6:15 p.m. 350th Committee Final Report. Recognition for volunteers.
Woohoo!
Please come forward.
Oh my goodness. So are you guys all nice and relaxed now?
Yeah, you see, I'm wearing socks. I've got like, vacation mode. Oh, and I have to, I know you guys all probably have these already, but
Oh,
your
thank you.
leftover
No, I don't.
350th stickers.
I do have my little card. I should have brought my mug.
There we go.
He's putting it on his name tag.
One last time here.
All right. So the floor
No,
is
hopefully
yours.
not the last. It'll just be something new and different.
I'll be 95 in the next 50 years. Alex and I.
You'll still be in the parade.
I had that beaver top hat, and I was no Abe Lincoln, but I did the best I could.
Very good job.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we had fun.
So we asked them to come in. First of all, you've got a report that was in your meeting
Yes.
card material, but they also submitted a wonderful report for our new budget book that's going to have some pictures.
Yay.
Mary did our final report, our annual report, and I finally
Sent some pictures.
I still have a lot of pictures to go through, and the worst part is I've been going through them throughout the whole year, but there's just so many, and I'm just trying to categorize them all so that when people, and then I'll give it to the town, I'll give it to the library and stuff, and so that way when people look back, they'll actually know what they're looking at. So, and I need to print out a bunch of pictures too that still need to go into our time capsule. So that's that, and then hoping for maybe a little fiesta, small get together in the spring, and then we'll be, I think, done.
Something learned is that we need more public meeting spaces with parking and access.
Yes.
And, I think we must have got over 300 people maybe at Trinitarian Church.
A couple
We're very
times.
glad.
Oh yeah.
Because we don't advertise it.
Yeah.
We didn't want the firemen to know, but I counted like 340 or something like that.
Over in the
And a
bank
couple
parking
of
lot too. They were all over the place. Yeah.
So the town really needs, of course, we're not going to have another big anniversary anytime soon, but there'll be something else, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we really need some public spaces. The churches were fantastic. They just opened themselves up for us.
Yeah.
They were the places we turned to.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
We were talking about a 351st, but
We fixed that one quick.
We can do a concert though, right?
perhaps.
Well, I'm hoping we don't lose some of the momentum, and I kind of put a bug in Stacy's ear about, and certainly any volunteers, that maybe we should pick up an event this year, like just another community something this summer-ish, early fall.
I
Just
know
something.
a couple things that are going to be happening, like one with the golf course, and I'm sure they'll be advertising it soon. That something that we did that they're going to carry through, and the Recreation Commission has also sort of looked the dinner dance thing. It's tough because it's a lot of money and it's to do it like that well. So I don't know. We're trying to think of like maybe a block party, or maybe start small, work our way up and see.
With
Because I
food
think you need
trucks
sponsors and all that
music
stuff.
and
It's a
just
lot.
Keep it simple.
I mean,
Yeah.
we had the amount of volunteers we had, and the amount of money that we had, we could pull that off, but it's the Recreation Commission, not so much. But we're, but that's something that we hear, and we wanted to sort of pull that through. And I mean, then we had like that little salsa night the other day for the Recreation Commission, which we sort of like trying to, keep some of that momentum going and some of the thoughts of what happened. So I don't think we'll be doing a big parade.
No, as a community event, I was thinking more like block party, food
Like
truck, and kids.
A
and-
parade in place,
no,
you
no,
know what
no.
I mean? Like just
I'm not sure.
we'll
how
all
many
march
times
around
that
a square or
Mass DOT's gonna let us shut down Route 10.
Oh, that was a process.
They
wasn't
would,
it?
yeah. They probably don't want you to do that quite so often, but
Right.
but something that
for
would
the
be
community.
community. Right.
Yeah.
Together feeling. It's
Yeah, and like I said, I being part of the 350th and also the rec. I mean, the Recreation Commission seemed to be sort of a natural, shift to some of the things that we had done in the 350th. But we have our own stuff going on too. So pick and choose some of the highlights, the things that people raved about that wanted more of and stuff. And I think that also 4-Star has some ideas about a few things that they may continue with. So
And the library, I think, will continue with the more historical things, which really drew good audiences. I think the library keeps some things going.
Yeah.
So that would be
Mary, being the chair of the historical focus group, really cranked out and found the right stuff. It was pretty awesome. I learned so much about this town.
I couldn't believe the turnout for the historical lectures.
Yeah.
That was
I would
amazing.
have guessed that people would be that interested.
Yeah.
I just was told to do it.
Well, if you ever want to volunteer more, Stacy, you could always run for select board.
There you go, Stacey. Give her a break.
Well, if we had a Citizen of the Year award in town, I have no doubt that you would have definitely have won it. So.
Oh, they had me in tears at the last meeting because
Oh, yeah.
Lindsay went and tried to do the what was it?
The Greenfield Recorder one.
Frank.
I mean, I didn't beat the guy that saved the woman from the
life.
drowning car, but like I felt I could have been a good second place.
You were second place.
You were the momentum and the front running.
She was first runner-up.
Yeah.
She was second place.
She was first in our book.
First runner-up.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, I was in tears, and it was very heartwarming for them to even think of that. So I was really appreciative.
So it does say here recognition for volunteers, so we just want to make sure we discuss the fact that we are recognizing you folks and all the individuals connected to it for a lot of the time and effort that you put into this.
A lot of time and
And
effort.
stress and
Years.
the rewards.
3 years
and
worth.
Yeah.
And patience,
And patience.
and planning.
all the things that came with
And
it.
not
So
patience and not planning.
And dishes. I participated in some
You've
of the
done a lot of
dishes.
dishes.
You were there, yes.
And passing out pizza, don't forget to do
Right?
that.
Yes. Important part of that event.
So yeah, do we have a special thing that we can give them, or?
Well, I
how
mean,
do we-
that's up to you if you guys want to do something. But I mean, I just wanted to point out, I wasn't part of this group, but I at times work with various people and not most of the events, but just the structure and the organization was really, I think, what we talk about the end result, but when you trace it back up, is what you realize is you had a core committee, and you quickly decided to do focus groups, who then pulled together their own groups, who then got volunteers onto those groups. It's that kind of organization that makes or breaks something like this, and a lot of people never get there. Things fall apart because for whatever reason they don't manage to do it, and you guys kind of actually did it by accident almost.
Yeah,
Sometimes we thought it was going
But
I mean, I have to say, like, and like I said, going into this, I had this much experience as, I'd barely been on committees at that point, and then all of a sudden I'm chair of something. The only thing I think that was just, I am an organized person, so I think, and then that, and just with like all the sports, all the years of my childhood, is just like, you can't let anybody down, gotta keep going, So like, that's just, I can't let my team down, I gotta just keep going, and they all, felt that, and these guys, the amount, I have the least amount of experience on this whole group. These guys are full of experience and knowledge and have done that. So like that, I had to pull, that helped pull everything together too, because I just was like, hey, everything about music, a ton about, history, and like, these guys just have been in the community and stuff like that. So I just, I just kept going, it helped get it organized, and these guys made it happen. So.
Well, and then you guys attracted everyone. I think it was just a model of positivity.
And approachability.
Right, exactly. That's the
and
way.
a lot of hand holding. you got lots of hand holding.
You can do it, Stacy. You can do
there's
it.
been lots of phone calls.
that was more just technical. How do I do this? How do I submit a
Yeah.
bill? How do I do that?
Yeah.
That's the easy part, because
Yeah.
those rules are already in place.
Yeah.
It's more the structure that you guys had to sort of create.
Well, it's a unique committee that doesn't, only happens once every 50 years. So,
Yeah.
there's not too many, and things change between that time. So it's like whatever worked 50 years ago doesn't necessarily work now.
Yep.
So we had to sort of redo everything.
Is there a portal or some location where people can access all the stuff that went involved in developing the project?
The library's webpage.
Documentary or
Yeah.
The
video?
library, and will have for a long time.
The library is, maybe you can explain it better how they're taking the website.
Somehow, they're taking the 350th website, and they're gonna be able to take it and put it on the library website, so that it will be
Forever.
in its final form. It'll be saved also, which I
Yeah.
don't know how they're doing
And the
that.
library has all those oral history
Yeah,
things.
and all the
Um,
videos of programs.
Yep, we have the time capsule there. There will be all the pictures. They're going to be able to document and have all the pictures. And I'm actually going to download everything onto a what do you call it, an external hard drive,
Yeah.
and so that will be able to be accessed.
If you're asking about documentation of the process, how it all happened, it occurs to me that when in the thick of it, nobody thought, I think, about
No, that's exactly what I was going to ask
the
because
history of how it all
Yes.
came together. That we did not.
Oh, we'll have to do oral storytelling
stories.
with you guys. We'll have to turn the tables and have
it-
somebody interview
My
you
oral history
guys.
had some of how
Yeah.
it happened. You know, I'm sure some did. you
No,
know,
because it
so
was
there's-
very. I remember at different forms. It was, and going to a few meetings, and I know Alex was there too. It was very organic, right? It kind of formed and reformed, like some of the groups, like, oh, this one's working okay. Oh, this one needs to do more of this, like the history
When
and.
you at the historical commission meeting said, well, those of you, there were three of us that you sort of said be on the committee. that we were. And
Well,
said
we
that
didn't.
wrong.
Yeah, we didn't have one.
There
So.
were three people from the historical commission
Right.
that went onto this and gave it that history bent at least.
Yeah.
And got things started.
Yeah, the
And
historic-
Yeah.
Stacy, being as innocent and untried as she was, that's how come she ended up being chair.
I'll be chair. I'll do
Are you
it.
saying she didn't know enough to
I
say
did
no?
know that. I was the temporary chair.
Well, I want to say that I didn't think about saying anything about this, but Stacy's role, she did come into this kind of wide-eyed and not knowing what's
Innocent.
involved, intending to be temporary,
Yes.
thinking someone else would step up and fill that role.
Yeah.
Nobody else did.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't.
It's
Yeah.
not who she is.
And Stacy just stuck with it through some incredibly difficult times, and 3 years of not seeing her family much.
I'm like, we're gonna have to get on top. I'm like my kids. I'm like, yes, we need to do these things. Catch up on all.
He went to everything.
What Stacy really did bring to the party, though,
Yeah.
was incredible enthusiasm, determination to see this
Yeah.
through, and kind of was the glue that held everything else
Yeah.
together, because we could
Yeah.
have flown apart any number of times.
Yeah.
Kept her sense of humor.
I
Nice
remember that
one.
very first Zoom meeting.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was during COVID.
Oh, that's
And
right
that's-
too. Yeah.
Right,
First
and that's
started.
when you started, and
Yeah.
of course I had
He
never
had to
met
show me
you.
how to use the Zoom.
No,
Oh goodness.
I had never
Yeah.
met you before that, but I knew right off the bat that you were going to be.
Oh.
I could just tell.
I wish I had
Yeah.
that confidence in myself.
Yeah.
at the time.
Martha knows.
Well, Andrea, if there's
Yeah.
I don't know how it would work, but if there's any money available in the select board line item for like a recognition or something like that,
Oh, like a luncheon.
I think that could be justifiable out of the select board's budget.
Well, and they also have some money, and I think we said that it would be
Yeah.
usable. We're not talking thousands of dollars. They're not
Yeah,
going to the
just-
Caribbean or anything.
Or Disneyland.
I want a statue in the front of town hall.
I think she's already got a key to the town
I do,
hall.
I do.
It's a fob, actually. Now there's no key, so it's not quite as exciting.
Oh god.
But yeah, I think
So
we should. I
you
think
guys
we're
have
working
so
on
much. You have this dense experience recently, and it would be really cool if you took. I know in all your free time, but I'm all about continuity, right? If you took a minute and wrote down a couple paragraphs of the gleanings that you have, and just to pass them forward, because I think it might be really useful. You've done something unusual, only every 50 years, and some of your lessons I think would benefit others trying to organize things and run things in the town. So I know it's a little extra, but I'm not talking about a book, just a page or two, maybe from a page from every department head or something, every subcommittee head. These are the things that are important. This is the most important thing. This is what we did. This is what we learned.
We will take that under
Their own
We'll get
board.
back to you on that one.
Somebody did mention, and this might be a way to do it, is the oral history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe to interview.
I think
us.
that'd be easier, and then
I
you
think that'd
could
be
we could do
easier, more-
transcripts from that,
Transcript,
or
yeah.
lessons
Yes.
learned as a result, right?
There's a lot of information.
Right.
There will be
The
a lot
more
of,
you
and again,
remember, yeah.
In 50 years, it's gonna be all different. Is the problem? So like,
Yeah.
because what they did 50 years ago, they hired a company, and
right.
you can't find companies that
Oh,
will
yeah.
do that now. So that
Very
was like, sale.
Well, but even if you think about the way it's organized, the technology is different. How you advertise
There really wasn't
events,
much
how
we could
it's all different. There was 50 years ago. You weren't
Yeah.
doing,
Completely.
stuff on. There was no
It was newspaper.
website,
Right.
like
Newspaper radio.
Cell phone.
Years from now, we'll have 50 years, we'll have AI, Stacy.
One of my friends is
She'll
like,
be a
"Oh, we're gonna
hologram."
take you up on it."
I just, I think that one of the things that that came out of it, talk about all the community events and people coming together, but I think you also have to look at the people who connected, who weren't connected. Like you said to her, well, I didn't know you then, but
That was
So,
the wonderful thing about it. You're
all
right.
the friendships that were formed through
Exactly.
from not only your group
Absolutely.
but on down into the working groups and up. Like
Oh my
all
god, I
the
was like
connections
so
made.
like
It all
January
spread
came and
out.
I'm like,
Like 10
what?
times.
Why am I not talking to these people like every 5 seconds, like every day? Like, where are
Dog
they?
is missing, right?
The last 3 years, like they're in my life, like every day.
I know. Constantly
Somebody said
communicating.
one of the greatest things was to be able to start hitting reply all. on
Yeah, with the
emails.
reply all, like, woohoo!
We're not on committee anymore. We just reply.
The little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody want to maybe make a motion
Wait,
for
I
a?
had something. one
Oh,
more.
yeah.
This guy.
Oh.
Oh, Mary.
The only way I knew him was
Good.
from next door.
Yeah.
And that was my
His face
surprise.
from
I mean,
next
he's such a
door.
good committee member. He's so level-headed. He brings stuff up when it's important to bring it up.
Yeah.
He has the right take on things.
Yeah.
You surprised me.
That's why I have the next door persona, because I can surprise people.
That's funny.
Social media avatar.
The other person who was not on our committee, but volunteered and went to almost everything, was our photographer.
Yes.
Oh
He
yeah.
was amazing.
Wonderful.
Martha carried him all over
And
town.
he's not from Northfield
He's from
either.
Phillipston. and
Yeah.
He came over to every event. He
Yeah.
loves
Charged us
Northfield.
nothing for his whole year.
We wanted to pay him. He said,
Wow.
no, I'll do it for free.
So maybe a special recognition, separate
I know.
like
There's just
statement
so,
or
it's hard because there's,
resolution.
like,
Yeah.
so many people
yeah,
that
yeah.
are, like, so
He was
many.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you have a bigger group behind you too that everyone couldn't be here tonight, but
Yes,
you
there
know,
are people.
I know, we're missing, I mean,
The
the
Stoyas.
Stoyas, yeah,
like
Rhoda.
some key people.
That's it, the Stoyas and Rhoda.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
couldn't be here tonight, but
Okay.
yeah. But Norm was amazing.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
Yeah, you guys will be here forever if we
mentioned
continue,
that.
so.
we'll just offer a formal recognition of service from the select board for the 350th for all of their work and dedication into this project, as was stated to appreciate, to remember the past, appreciate the present, and prepare for the future.
reconnect.
What was
You
it?
came up with that
I came up with that one, now can I
I
remember?
can't remember.
Reconnecting
Yeah.
Northfield,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really what
Yeah,
the one we've been
right.
using mostly,
Yeah.
because it's short and sweet.
That, but I can't remember what it is. I'll
Yeah.
remember what it is when I get it.
Okay.
It's on our website.
Go back and look at our.
We'll add
Yeah,
that.
it's on our website.
All right. Well, I think that's it from us. But
Thank you.
Thank you very
Just a
much.
big
Thank
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
It
you.
was fun, almost.
It will be maybe another 6 months. It will
Maybe
be.
it's soft, We got to know a lot of.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you, folks.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
guys. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so we have no other scheduled appointments coming up for. Well, our next one will be at 7 o'clock. We can get through
We're
some.
going to actually pass over that
We're
one.
going to pass over that.
Yep.
That's right.
So now you can see, get through everything before the end.
Okay. Any citizens' concerns? Are there any concerned citizens that wish to state their First Amendment right as a concerned citizen? Okay, so we'll come up and I'll explain to you how our process works. Just under citizens' concerns, you can state your concerns. We cannot legally respond per open meeting law.
Okay.
Laws. So you're given a lot of time of 3 minutes. It's not 3 minutes on the nose. It's just to once it gets to 3 minutes, we kind of wrap up our point, and then We acknowledge the fact of what you said, but we will not be able to respond to anything that you say.
Understood.
So,
I won't wait for applause.
We'll listen intently.
So at the start of it, I'll just I'll ask you to state your name for the record. And
John Buxton.
Go ahead.
Okay, this should be fairly short and sweet.
What's your address?
119 Cross Road. So I've just recently been made aware of a proposal for another fairly large-scale solar installation to happen in our Pine Meadow neighborhood, and I sent out some emails, and Andrea was very nice enough to respond with, hold your horses almost, is what I'm sort of getting as a vibe. So I sent the similar email to the planning board, and basically I'm just here to introduce myself to you guys. I think I've met some folks and maybe haven't met some others, but put a face to the name of the emails, and just let you know that we are, my family and I are concerned about that installation, and I get the hold your horses thing because things have proper channels. I'm trying to go through the proper channels as best I understand them, but at the same time I have the solar company in my kitchen explaining where the panels are going to be going. So just wanted to make sure I don't miss my opportunities to bring the attention of this proposal to the town. It's going to be coming along. If I'm a little ahead of schedule, making everyone aware of it. Apologies for putting the cart before the horse, but I just wanted to introduce myself and let you know that's my thoughts, and more to come.
And I'm just sort of sitting back here, being also a resident on that road, having the same concerns.
Okay, and we'll note Stacy for that record as well, Sandra.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time.
Bye, guys.
Okay. So we'll like I just said, Sandra will mark those names and those comments for the record for our minutes to be voted on and approval at a future meeting, but we should be good for now. Review and approval of warrants. I'll hear a motion for the February 21st, 2024 payroll warrant of $77,613.75.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then I'll also hear a motion for the February 21st, 2024 vendor warrant of $139,069.78, which is large for snow removal, health insurance, legal fees, and appellate tax court.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on that?
Yes. I was wondering about the nature. So we've got $35,000, over $35,000 in legal fees for the appellate tax board. And I know that in our meeting we moved money for that. Is this the end?
I don't know. We haven't had the finding in that case, but it's pretty much the bulk. There shouldn't be much more. If there is, it'll be fairly small. The case has already gone before Boston, so anything else would be wrapping it up or waiting for the decision.
Okay.
Sounds expensive.
And then I'll ask that question in executive session. So we are.
Okay.
Oh.
No more discussion, then we'll take a vote on the approval of this said vendor warrant. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Review and approval of minutes for the February 6th, 2024.
Yeah, I have some corrections.
Okay. Let's take a look.
Yeah. So on page 2, when we were talking with sewer, there's a line that says Jacques added data from those districts depends on their improvements needed. And I think what I was saying there was data from those districts depends on possible needed improvements to the water systems for billing.
How far down are you on that?
It's like midway in the page.
10th bullet, maybe?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm the last sentence in the 10th
So
bullet.
improvement needed to the water district? Is that what you want to add?
To their possible improvements to their,
Data collection, I think is
Yeah.
what it said. Because if it's going to bead off of the,
yeah, data is dependent. I think what I was trying to say there was that, what I added was that the sewer data and being able to bill depends on any improvements in the billing systems in the water.
their meters and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Not so much the sewer side.
Would you leave this one out? Because I want to address it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the right order.
Does that help, or do you want me to send? Okay.
Needed in water billing system.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, and then under Six Town,
You're still on the same page?
Can you
At what
tell us
page?
what
no, I'm
page?
sorry, five out of seven, sorry. 5 out of 7, Six-Town Regionalization Planning, 22-24.
No, actually, that's going to come out.
Oh, what's that?
It's the time on the video.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay, so cross that out.
The numbers.
Okay. And then the second bullet, there's 2 things where, actually 3 things where I, so the first quote where I say Jacques added the administrative piece did not have enough information and confused the discussion by having 2 reports, one including Warwick and one
Can I have that
without.
pen there, Andrea? Thank you.
Excuse me.
Get a choice of colors.
Okay, let me finish. That's fine. Then Jacques disagreed and thought they were talking about creating a larger school to increase academic extracurricular opportunities that had not been fully addressed at PVRS. If you can scratch the that had not been fully addressed at PVRS, I'm not comparing PVRS and the 6 towns so much as reporting on what I heard from the 6 town panel.
She wants to look at that one after. That's why she left that one sticking out. She wants to look at that after.
These are coming around. There's a piece sticking out. Can you leave it sticking out so that I can refer to it later? That's what he was clarifying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know if there was any questions about what I'm saying.
Nope, none at all.
Okay, otherwise I feel like I'm talking to myself, which I do enough already. Then, so if we could just cross out that had not been fully addressed at PVRS, because I'm not criticizing or commenting on anything at PVRS. It's what I'm relaying what was talked about at the 6 town presentation. I have no opinion on 6 town or PVRS at this point. Then Jacques felt from the model, the benefit looks to be more academic and extracurriculars for the same money, putting the 2 districts together. So I don't feel anything about the model. I think the goal that this, if we can word it this way, I felt that what the goal is from the 6 town planning committee is to benefit academic and extracurricular activities for approximately the same money by putting the 2 districts together.
So the goal from the 6 town committee.
Correct. My interpretation of what I've heard from the 6 town.
Right, and you
Yep.
need to repeat what you said.
Oh,
The goal of the 6
We're on the
town.
last sentence, right? Or the second?
The goal of, felt that the goal of the 6 town regional committee looked to be more academic and extracurricular activities for approximately the same money by putting the 2 districts together.
yeah, correct. Thank you.
Do you feel you were misinterpreted on some things, Bea?
No. That it's just the way it was worded.
Wording, okay.
I don't want people to have the impression that I've formed an opinion. As a matter of fact, what I said at the last meeting is And somewhere you had that about having more people come in.
I could see where maybe I got the opinion that you were opinionated on it, with
No.
just listening to what you said. That was my opinion.
But that was not my
Okay,
intent.
I know, if it wasn't
What
your
I
intent,
said was
yeah.
that they need to be able to explain this to citizens. Both PVRS and Sixtown need to be able to explain their models and their visions. And my concern overall is the declining, hopefully it's not continuing to decline, but my concern is declining enrollment in both of the schools, and I think that piece is in there.
It's the last bullet. Turn your page. Oh, next
Oh.
page.
Sorry. Okay, so then the next bullet, where I'm
The
just
last
looking
bullet
at
in
my
that
quotes.
section.
Yeah, the last bullet in that section. Jacques suggested more discussion with people who have other opinions. What I suggested was that PVRS and Sixtown need to explain this to citizens. Because some of the process is showing declining student numbers, and it's a rural problem in general and needs a solution. That's my concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get that
Okay.
put in the minutes.
Thank you.
You're all set?
Yes.
Okay, the one thing that I would like added, and I'm not usually very picky on minutes. In fact, I don't really ever have anything to add about minutes, but I would like it added under the sewer section that Karen did apologize to me. For
What page
taking,
are we on?
just under the general sewer comment section when we had a tie and bond front, that she did apologize to me for taking a cheap shot at me during the special town meeting, and that I accepted the apology. So there's a lot of things in there. I think that's relative to be added. Like I said, I don't really ask for much, but it's all there. It was stated, and I am asking for that to be added as a result of that. Because I did ask a question.
Yeah.
I did ask a question if the past 50 years
Yeah.
of the sewer can be blamed on me, and I think it made the tie and bond individual a little uncomfortable based on his body language, but that eventually that a response was made that she did apologize, and I accepted the apology. So and the fact that 50 years can't be blamed on me, not for my 4-year tenure on that board. So
Given your lack of experience in stepping into that role at that particular time, anybody stepping into that role at that particular time, making those decisions when that consent order came in,
Yeah.
and with the failed reports and Prickett report and everything, anybody stepping in there to do a perfect job, impossible. So,
yeah,
Well, I was there during the process. The DEP didn't give you any choice.
no.
You will sign
No.
this or we will fine you. I mean,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I know.
No matter how much experience you had, I'm not sure it would have made
Well,
any
that's what I
difference.
mean.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
Kind of hands
You know.
tied behind your back there.
Yeah.
so that's it. That's all I'm asking for. So
Yeah, Sarah pointed out one thing that I actually don't think is correct. At the bottom of page 4, it says Cummings thought a select board member should be chair. I don't recall saying that, and that's not actually my opinion. I think what was communicated was, the committee was recommended, or someone from the committee was recommended.
Yeah, you're right. It's
Yeah.
the committee. Some committee members recommended it based on their Williamsburg
Yeah.
visit. Yes. Yeah.
I just say that should just be that just be stricken from that because
Yeah.
and also Sandra, just as a note for mine, you could probably get a more accurate reference of the exact words that were used for what I just described. You could just base it off of that because it was recorded, and it's going to be more accurate than what I'm trying to say here.
She watches it.
So
Yeah.
I had a feeling she would.
That's why she
check it, so. Yeah. So okay. Anything else that we'd like to amend for these minutes before? We're still in a motion. Yeah, we're still in a motion on them. So.
I don't think we even had.
No,
a
we didn't
motion.
even motion them. We didn't
No,
even
we just
motion them.
jumped right in. Well, last meeting was a lot,
It was a big
and it was
meeting.
long, so
It's, yeah, a lot
lots
of
to
things
say.
to say about the SRO position.
So is the rest good? We can do a motion if it is.
Yeah, I'm happy with the rest. I was just looking
Okay.
over everything else.
Okay, I just want to be clear on the
Yeah.
6-town thing. Okay.
Would somebody like to make a motion on the February 6, 2024 minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion
go.
by Heath and seconded by Bernie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Outstanding. Well
Thanks,
done,
everyone.
Interim select board meetings. I don't think we had anything. Meetings and events attended by select board members.
Oh, good. Let me just tally them up. Holy shoot. It's gonna take me a second also.
Mine will be easy.
Bernie can go. I feel
had
like
the-
Sarah and I have been
I had
like,
the Friends of the
joined at
Northfield
the hip.
Seniors, and I had a sewer commission meeting.
Cool. Sarah?
I met with the police chief. I did, along with B and Andrea and Sandra, the grant coordinator screening, grant coordinator interviews, which, by the way, are open meetings. The final interviews are open to the public, so if public are interested in those items, they can come and see the final interviews. And they're announced 48 hours, we do the whole thing. So, and then the Bird Club regarding a community tick and Lyme disease presentation. And we're going to try to take that out with the, through the library and give it, and bring in some of the health organizations, and I think it'll be really cool. And then I attended a sewer commission meeting, and some meetings were postponed by the giant snowstorm that didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
Only district that didn't cancel school, I'm pretty sure. That's great.
That was smart.
That's it for me.
That was smart.
I sat through some of the budget hearing for PBRS, and then also the actual budget vote the following week. And then I had a pretty long meeting with Bernie Parada regarding both of those meetings and some concerns regarding PBRS's budget and some extremely large raises going to the top yet again. So we'll be discussing that at a later time.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Very good.
Okay, I had, as Sarah mentioned, we had the grant development director screening. We had the and the final interviews, as well as our meetings to discuss what we had done in each of those, plus time to do the questions. And I think we spent, this was like one of the most intense hiring processes that I've been through. And I went to the finance committee meeting. And the building committee meeting. And then I had a long phone call last night with a select board member from the Leiden Select Board.
Well, I guess for me, for meetings and events, I would say the birth of my daughter happened, so that was kind of an event.
Yeah.
So,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, February 8th, 7:46 p.m. she was born. We got to the hospital at 7:30.
So she missed the select board meeting.
Yeah, she by 2 days.
Oh boy.
We left the hospital at 7:17. We got there just after 7:30, and she was out by 7:46. So
A little too close for comfort.
it was quick. We were hauling down the highway. We were moving. So
Luckily, you have the vehicle for that.
oh, Chargers make very good vehicles for moving down the highway. Ask me how I was. Anyways, yeah. I mean, I guess
Wow.
you don't have to consider that an event, but I didn't
Yes,
really.
it is an event.
If you don't mind, I'd like to just have that as an event, only because it's taken up a lot of my time getting her in a routine for the past couple of weeks. So I haven't been able to have any official business events to towards this position that I'm in. So, but yeah, that's it for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
To you and Haley and Jackson.
We're just glad she's healthy. She's figuring out life. A little plump tomato. So she's.
Oh, we're going to have to
great.
see pictures afterwards.
Oh yeah, I got plenty of them.
Okay, good.
Okay. Town administrators update.
Couple things. One is I sent you the in your packet the legislative priorities for the small town administrators of Massachusetts. A lot of select boards are voting to sign on. The small town administrators has well, I shouldn't say new because it's been 2 or 3 years, has a legislative committee, and they worked with the other small town administrators to put this together to take to their select boards. So they're asking select boards to review it, and if you're interested in supporting this, just vote vote that you support it, and they're going to take it with the legislative committee, and they're going to go forward to the State House and work on that. And it's a pretty easy list to support for a community. I mean, permanent changing of Chapter 90 formula to help improve small town funding through that. Municipal building
Chapter
assistance.
90 formula?
That's roads.
The highway stuff.
Okay.
That's the highway money that we get from the state, and there's been a lot of concern about how that formula has a lot of things that disadvantage small towns. Has to do with like employment numbers and population numbers, and small towns suffer through that formula and get historically low numbers.
Before I forget this point, during the Talk of the Towns tour with the Lieutenant Governor, Chapter 90 restructuring was probably a topic that pretty much every select board and town admin person had to say, was kind of redesigning it so that it works for a lot of the towns that aren't rich in the
like
eastern
based
of the
on
state.
miles instead
Based
of
on miles,
A lot more interesting factors.
And
But
just,
the way they've kind of gotten around it is they kept the old formula for now, and then they've appropriated additional sum of money that goes through a slightly different formula, which is like 50% rural, 50% the old formula, but that's an additional money on top. So there's still a big push to revamp the Chapter 90 funding formula more permanently.
So just another thing, and for Sarah's knowledge as well. So Chapter 90 is it's what's called the transportation chapter. It's used a lot in law enforcement as well for enforcing Chapter 90 for anything related to that's connected to the RMV, roads, licensing, school buses, truck weights, speeding, vehicle noise, just all sorts of stuff like that. And I'm sure there's a lot of other language up in the higher sections of Chapter 90, past Section 24 and 25, that have to do probably, I don't know exactly, but that have to do with what how that money is expended and stuff like that. But just so you know.
And small towns are disadvantaged in
the current formula relies more heavily on factors that advantage larger communities,
I see.
as opposed to smaller communities that may have more road miles but are disadvantaged because
they have fewer
the factors they're working on weigh heavily. So there's been a lot of pressure to make some changes there.
It's pretty much it's a revamp of the formula to help this end of the state be represented more.
So we're pushing, the small towns are pushing for a look at that formula. Just like Chapter 70 is for education, Chapter 90 is the road bond bill.
Yep.
It authorizes the borrowing every year for road projects. And there's state road projects in there. But anyway, Chapter 90 contains the local aid that we get. Obviously, the Municipal Building Assistance Authority, it's another thing that they're legislating for and pushing for. Education funding formulas to provide more support for regional school districts in towns having to choose between school and municipal services. So again, that's another one where they think that the smaller communities, especially regional school communities, are disadvantaged in the actual funding formulas. So looking at the formulas is what we're asking for. Creating incentives for districts to create sustainable pathways in the case of declining enrollment, including talking about personnel and transportation.
Yeah.
Then there's some reductions in procurement burdens, the state procurement thresholds to reduce administrative costs on small towns with limited budgets. There's some thresholds that force us to go through complicated and expensive procurement, especially if you don't have engineering departments to put together those kinds of bids. It becomes very difficult on small communities to meet those procurement thresholds. We've been pushing for a long time about prevailing wage laws, by talking about some kind of exemption and rural factors that would allow us to complete small necessary projects. Because if you don't know, if I had to change that socket right there, just to plug something in, it's a prevailing wage job. can't call anybody local who doesn't do prevailing wage, and a lot of them don't, because the paperwork involved in doing a prevailing wage job is prohibitive.
huge, yeah.
So your local economy, you can't call your local electrician to do the job and support your own local business, because if they don't do prevailing wage, they can't do that job for however much money you could do it in your house.
Wow.
We have to hire a company that would come, and that it adds hundreds and hundreds of dollars to every job we do because if they won't do prevailing. Now, the only people that are exempt from that is if somebody's a single sole proprietor. So if somebody, as long as they don't have an employee, we can call them. But the minute they have an employee, it's a prevailing wage job. So
We're
it
starting
really,
to have a lot of problems with certain vendors because if they have a large crew, if they pay someone to come here and do this work and they're pulling, so say it was a newer guy that they had come do the work here, and then you have senior people that are somewhere else.
Right.
This guy's now making X amount of money
$45
more
an hour for
than
prevailing
everybody else,
wage.
and they get mad, so they'll refuse
don't
prevailing
take
wage work
prevailing wage
because it
jobs.
causes so many internal problems
Correct.
with the company. So,
So
it becomes a
we've been
huge burden
pushing for a
small
long
places.
time that there needs to be some kind of threshold. We've been spitting into the wind
It's
against the
ridiculous.
unions on that, but we still push for it. We always talk about the reforming the state-owned land, which is payment in lieu of taxes.
Yeah.
Because small communities, some of whom are 50 or 60% state-owned land, if they contain state forests, state parks,
Oh, yeah.
they get the formula totally disadvantages these small rural communities, and they don't have a tax base. Yet they have to maintain services to that park. Say, for example, someone calls an emergency, they're policing it, their fire goes, all those kinds of things have to be done on the local level, but the payment from the state is so woefully inadequate to support those services. And yet, that's a state park. The state owns the land, and the local community has no ability to
So like
receive any taxes on it.
Wendell and Warwick and
There are some communities that I wish there was an interesting discussion. There's a community that's 60% state-owned land, and the amount of money they get is so small towards their budget that they routinely expend more money on the services to support that, because there's ambulance calls, there's fire calls, people leave because it's got camping in it, people leave camp, but routinely goes over and above the money they get from the state just for payment in lieu of taxes, because the state doesn't pay taxes, they pay a pilot payment in lieu of.
And is that only the state? Because there are other organizations that don't
Correct.
pay taxes. And so would these laws affect all pilot?
Potentially, but there are formulas to do pilots for nonprofits and educational. There's another mechanism, but the state gets to create their own numbers.
I see.
And so the state has routinely, you don't negotiate with the state. Let's just put it that way. And you're subject to what they decide they're going to fund it at. Staffing and support for the Office of Rural Affairs. This one makes me grind my teeth because they do have some staffing. Her name is Mallory.
we've already contributed.
We've already contributed to that. And some of the administrative burdens that prevent small towns from getting state grants. And that they're talking about some of the application process. And this continually comes up. And they have been somewhat responsive. The One Stop was an attempt to help with that, trying to combine the application so you're not filling out 15 applications. You can fill out a standard application and apply for multiple grants through this project. But there are a whole bunch of other administrative burdens. So these are the legislative priorities from the Small Town Administration Massachusetts group. And I would ask if the board is supportive of those, that you guys vote to support those, and we will join our name to the towns, the other small towns that are asking our legislators.
Yeah, let's do it.
So all we have to do is just vote. I
Right.
move that we move that we, the town of Northfield, vote to support the 2024 legislative priorities as offered by the small town administrators of Massachusetts.
Second.
Discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well done.
Go get them.
Fight them hard.
Well, I'm glad. I'm really glad to see that they're doing this. I was the chair of this group for 10 years and moved on, but they formed this legislative committee,
No,
which
they're
I
a
really
great
think is
group.
very helpful. And they're a very vocal group of people. I'm very excited.
Emergency Services Facility Committee update.
I put this in here so that Bea and I both could speak to
Oh, yeah.
to this. The group we did meet last Thursday, And we decided to create a scope of work to get pricing on potential site evaluation for the current fire station building, the back area. And we came up with 4 specific criteria that I have put out and am putting out to get specific quotes from specific people about the cost of looking at the studies we already have, whether or not those studies warrant a deeper dive into a geotech or whether they don't, then potentially what the cost of that deeper dive would look like, and potentially if we do this deeper dive, what might be the town's liability if we were to find things back there, since it was a highway department once, there's a building back there from a fire and all its years of use, so that we get some expertise. First we get the cost of potential expertise to tell us whether we should do all those things in that kind of order. So I don't know if I missed anything, but
No, I think I just want to mention that I mentioned your concern, Heath, that I shared that.
Which one?
The one where we need to be, the reason why we're having the meeting is to be clear, because we've been doing this for a number of years. We have said certain things about the site and the building, and why we needed to move in a particular direction. So if they want to take a closer look at anything with respect to the fire station property or the building itself, then we need to be clear about what we're doing and how it fits, and not duplicate any effort from the past. So if you look at the building committee website, it's all up to date with all the prior environmental reports. And so what was interesting was to find out some people hadn't seen those still. And so we pointed those out, read a few quotes from, this is what was done, these were some of the comments that they made. And I think Skip is wanting, so this step that we took, because there was quite a bit of discussion about it, this step that we took, it's a fairly lengthy worded motion, because I felt the detail needed to be really clear in there about what the steps were. And this particular step does not cost any money at this point. It's basically to solicit to see whether or not having somebody come in and help interpret all of the reports that we've done over the years would be beneficial and would close the door on any further discussion if need be.
Or if they thought there wasn't enough there. And they thought that we really, before you could close the door, that additional studies might need to be done. So we were saying one way or the other. Is this enough information to give us some feedback, or is it not?
Right. And Skip handed out a drawing, I think, from the fire department's perspective on what could be done back there. And then, but not really realizing that test pits had shown certain things based on what they thought could be done. So I think it ended up being a very long meeting, but it was, we got to a certain point of understanding what reports have been done over the years and what a possible next step might be. So I think what we're doing is breaking it down step by step. But my concern that I built on from listening to you, Heath, was that I think the committee needs to take it slowly, step by step, and make sure that they're clear on what they're doing so that it can be clear to everybody else. Because if the group isn't clear, it was clear that they weren't clear.
There wasn't a common understanding, which is the sense I was getting at.
Yeah, it was just different interpretations. There wasn't an argument. There was just different interpretations.
People just took different things from the meeting, and I felt
and
like I had different conflicting.
Well, I remember
instructions.
when I went in and they felt like the select board had given them a mandate for all-in-one, and I came and told the select board that, and the select board was like, wait, that's not. And so I think that communication that was one of the issues. I had 2 questions about it, or 3 questions.
Just so you know, that wasn't discussed. The 3-town mandate, if you will, was the goal a long time ago when the committee started.
I'm referring to our select board meeting a couple of times ago.
Oh, okay. No.
I was trying to be jolly. I wasn't trying to be
Oh
pointed.
no, oh no. I'm thinking more in the past, and you're referring to some. I'm just
A
clarifying.
conversation
Okay.
that we had on the select board after I attended a meeting.
Okay.
And when Heath was still on the board, but he'd had to leave, and so I was the person that was in the room. And the
Oh, gotcha.
Emergency Services Board had a discussion in which they were coming to the understanding of whether they were free to look at separate buildings for different. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they had felt that the
Yep.
board stated that they had felt they had a mandate from the select board that they should only have 3. I know you're making that perplexed face, but that was the miscommunication.
No, I'm not perplexed. I just
Okay.
want to respond to it in that I think this meeting really cleared that up.
Excellent.
And that we're taking baby steps on the fire department lane, as I call it, and we're taking steps on the EMS lane. And the other thing that we wanted to make clear is that we're not leaving the police in the dust, but what we learn on these 2 tracks at the moment, step by step, will inform what we do with the police. And then Skip reinforced that. He wanted to make sure that everybody knew that, just because they were focusing on the fire at this point, that they were not forgetting about the police. So it was well worth it. I think we're clear, and I told them that I wanted to make sure that we were clear so I could keep coming back to the select board, and that if it was no longer clear or we did not need to move forward, that would also be a possibility.
Okay, I have my 3 questions.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, you wanted to get to those.
So, number 1, I think there was a misunderstanding because I heard from citizens also, and Heath mentioned that he thought the core samples or the core drillings had been done already, and Andrea said that they had, but 11 inches has been done already, and so I think that was maybe the disconnection and misunderstanding.
I think some of them were much deeper than that.
No, they were like 11 feet.
Some were 8 feet. Yeah, if you look at it, it's 8 feet, not 8
Okay,
inches.
no, I wasn't reading from the paper.
Yeah.
I was basing on our conversation
Right, and
after
that may be
the
the way
meeting.
they read it if they looked at the report.
After my conversation with you after the meeting.
Yeah, no, that.
So, and then the other one was the brownstone project with the state. That was one of the things that we had as a board and several of the committees, and that was pointed at the area in back of the firehouse, and that was one of the items that went forward.
Right, they'll tell, FERCog announces when they have money for brownstone, and you
Brownfield?
Brownfield.
So sorry.
And you apply for it, like you tell them you have a project.
Okay.
I think we want to know a little bit more about before we potentially open that project.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
And there's a backlog on that.
Yes, and there has been for years, and
Years, yeah.
but the problem is you may or may not want to actually open a brownfields project, and there's
Okay.
phases to that: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
And then the last one was, we had a citizen come forward and present citizen interest that got a little bit waylaid. We talked about because he wrote the wrong title on it for who's a career architect and had been willing to contribute. And I was wondering whether that had been something that was discussed at the meeting.
No, it wasn't, but it wasn't on the agenda.
No,
so.
the agenda was just the topic on the clarifying of the property piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we talked a little bit about extending the committee so big that we end up.
Well, it
playing
wasn't
with a
about,
large
he offered
forum.
his time, and so
Right.
if, when we're talking about, hey, what should we
Yep,
not,
yep.
I think he'd be a great and he's a, person who's been in the community
Yep.
and has this very specific expertise and was very generous.
Yes,
to offer.
I'm familiar with him. I don't think he was at the last meeting. Just FYI, he wasn't in the audience. There were a few others, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want everyone to know we have 2 executive sessions tonight
Yep.
and 9 agenda items. Some will take longer than others, but I would like to be able to wrap up our business before 8:30.
Yep.
So we can get ready for that.
Good.
So,
We're on it.
but ARPA update.
I sent you an ARPA update, I think, in your packet. There isn't much to say. I just wanted to kind of let you know that we're pretty much updated on a lot of expenditures. There's only a couple that haven't been started yet, but they're in the works. They're waiting for specific reasons. So those will finish out some of its equipment, some of its installation software related. I also sent you for the first time a chart by allocation by departments. It's just for your edification, and the reason police, fire, and EMS are together is because several of those were for like pagers for all 3 departments or equipment, repeaters for multiple departments, and so I didn't pull them apart by department exactly. So those were sort of, I put together all of the emergency services department as sort of one pocket. And then, so you can see the funds allocated. It was the allocated. It isn't necessarily all that was spent yet. I just did it by allocated so far.
Wow.
And then the percentage that went to each kind of grouping, just so you could kind of see that we were trying to kind of spread it around.
That was the goal.
So we approved $107,975.56 for the wastewater.
About 12% of your total funds.
12.1%. That's impressive.
Yeah, no, they had some really good requests. And
And they had, remember the aerators?
Yeah.
That was an
The muffin monster.
The muffin monster.
They were going to have to have a special town meeting and move money to do that.
We
We
did
had
it through
the
ARPA.
instead.
Correct.
Thank you, federal government.
And we had the sewer overflow. We did the match. We did part of the match for the
grant?
For the grant for the
Asset management, that
yes,
one?
we had to have a town portion, so that match was through ARPA for that town portion.
So
and some payment in kind too, right?
Yeah.
Lots of
Yes,
citizen
it was written in that we could use a certain amount of staff time.
So for town hall departments, the select board desk would be under town hall departments, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this desk didn't cost the taxpayers any money of the town of Northfield, right?
So we spent about 6.4% on all of the town hall.
Yeah, it didn't cost any resident anything. Okay.
No, not in tax dollars.
Just
So,
wanted to get that out there.
And the grant director, that line item is for the entirety of
salary, insurance, payroll taxes. Yes.
For how many years is that?
Well, 3 is what it was estimated for. So it might go a little further.
Okay.
So my hope is if the town decides to take it forward as a permanent position, there might be a little bit of offsetting money for a 4th year before it would go in. So we'll see, because I had to, of course, budget it at like a family plan, and we haven't yet had to pay that expenditure. So there will clearly be some money to continue that position, hopefully into part of a 4th year.
Okay.
So there's a few things that aren't 100% spent, but we'll see right now whether or not the ARPA committee needs to get together. Right now it's really only about $2,800, and we could close that out to the general fund by June 30th. If it doesn't look like some huge amount comes back and the ARPA committee decides they want to reallocate some of that funding.
I know that old firehouse right there, if we don't do something about it, it's gonna go. It's got roof problems, it's got window problems, it's where our Boy Scouts meet. And so as a town that's important, but also it's a historical building and it belongs to the town. So
it's rotting on its foundation, like the sills falling off of the foundation.
So something needs to be done. And if we have ARPA money, I would love for, when people asked before and were told that the community preservation was a good aspect, and that for some reason or not wasn't applied for, but I would like to consider that. It's not, that $2,800 as far as the town goes is not a huge contribution, but it might really be a help over here in this building because we don't want to lose it.
We've been asking them to put together projects. Like, what is their priority project? If it's the doors, if it's the windows, just get a quote.
I can facilitate that if we can earmark it or just say, hey, we're going to wait to spend that 28 or whatever is extra for a minute.
As far as I know, there's nothing on the table. So, obviously if someone puts in a request, we have a form. If they put in a request with, documentation, I'm sure the committee would consider it.
Okay.
There's no reason to think they wouldn't.
Yeah, because some of the things did come in under the original allotted amounts, so they have more money came back into it.
Right. And so we had some things under, and there still might be some things that come back a little bit.
Like $13,000 right now that was unexpended.
Well, no, we have about $2,800 that's unobligated. That could grow with some of these things if they don't get completely expended. But right now they're obligated.
I'm just saying if it falls down, it falls down, and then we've got to pay to have it all taken apart and everything done.
We don't want that to happen.
With all the little boys in it, no, we don't.
No.
So just
so the challenge. So we'll continue to do updates, and if the amount changes, the ARPA committee will get back together again and then come back to the select board. So don't worry about that. But the initial challenge and regulations that we were under is to make sure it's all obligated by the end of 2024. So we're obviously way ahead of schedule on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have no trouble with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because I did ask, because I noticed there was safety equipment for the wastewater
Yep.
treatment plant.
Yeah, that was
And
on
there
there
money
too.
came back because the cost of the stuff was less than
Yeah.
originally quoted.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
I-
money that
Yep.
could be spent
Yep.
somewhere else.
It's already come back because we
Yeah.
did some obligations.
Right.
Because we knew about that money a while ago.
Yeah.
So some additional, more recent obligations incorporated that,
Oh, okay.
some of that. So the money that's totally unobligated at this point is the $824.03.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It already included that. And I
Okay.
always check with them, whoever has the obligation, when I haven't seen any movement in a while, even if there's some movement, I say, are you done with that account? Because I'll close it. So I made sure that they had got everything that was on their original list before I closed that. I didn't take it away from them. Because there is something for the highway department, he's been waiting for some equipment on one of, that he had put in for, and he's still waiting for that equipment. He's expecting it pretty soon, actually.
Okay.
So
Great.
that money I haven't closed out.
Outstanding. So it's all accounted for. All the money was there. Most of it was spent. So
And
all
we
of
might
it
come
was
back
spent.
as things get updated.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the business, vote and sign primary election warrant. So that should be pretty quick. So we have this document here. Let me find it. The primary election warrant for presidential preference, state committee man, and state committee woman. So we're hereby required to notify and warn inhabitants of said city or town who are qualified to vote in the primaries to vote at Northfield Town Hall. We don't have different precincts. It's the only place that you can vote in town to support who you would want for your elected official. Which is at 69 Main Street, and this will be on Tuesday, the 5th day of March 5th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for, as I just said, state committee man, state committee woman, and presidential preference for this Commonwealth. Time and place of the voting. And this given under our hands this 20th day of February 2024. So and then that will get signed by all of us, and then a constable will sign it, and so on and so forth. So if we're okay with that, what I just said, we can just approve it and move on. We cool with that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll entertain a motion to accept the Commonwealth of Massachusetts warrant for presidential preference primaries located at Northfield Town Hall, 69 Main Street.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm going to sign this. We can pass it around. Don't mess it up. It's a nice paper. This paper looks like it cost a fortune. It's really heavy, so it's got a really fancy,
Oh, we'll go that way then first.
fancy seal
Yeah.
on it.
It's the archival paper.
Yeah,
Ah.
the fancy stuff.
I've got my purple pen ready.
I got a smudge-proof pen here.
Easy.
How about these things?
Does that come out of the
Do it with a
selectmen budget?
glitter pen.
No, it's town clerks.
Town clerk budget. Oh.
They do everything on the archival paper now, so
Aha.
it lasts.
Yay.
Does it last longer? Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool. I like that. Well done. Nice paper. Great. Okay. Vote and sign. Franklin Regional Council of Government, Plumbing and Gas Wiring Inspection Professional Services. As this is something we have been speaking about for a little bit now, to opt into a regionalization agreement for our utility services here.
And we did it at the special town meeting.
Yes.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. So, unless this requires any bit of discussion, we can probably move forward with it. But I think we're pretty much squared away with it on this point.
It's a pretty standard, and actually
a
a
standard
fairly
FERCog
short contract if you do away with all the.
Document recovering what our responsibilities are, compensation, what theirs are,
Yeah.
typical indemnification and insurance. We're not going to discriminate anything or anybody. Yeah, we've signed. I don't know. I'm
So
not.
moved on that.
How many of these we've seen?
I mean,
at
the
this
biggest
point?
responsibility will be to pay our assessment and to appoint somebody to. We will be responsible to appoint somebody to their board. We're agreeing to do that.
Not it.
Well, we haven't done it
Second.
yet.
I'm going to second Bernie.
Thank you, Bernie.
Any further discussion in the approval of this FERCog document for plumbing, gas, and wiring inspection regionalization?
No, this is the formality
This is
of
pretty
what we
formal at
voted
this
on at
point.
town meeting. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we are moving forward.
Ooh, I have to sign it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, look at that.
Do we select a person right now?
Yeah, I'll come back to when they're asking for it. We have to actually get, I don't know, they have to sign it and execute it, and then I'm sure they'll tell us when we're officially members, and
Thank you.
assign somebody
Is
to
it
that.
just you, Alex, that
Yes,
signs
it's
it?
just
Okay.
Now, speaking of the February 5th primary that is happening at this town hall,
Yes.
we will have to reschedule our March 5th select board meeting.
Yes, it's on primary night.
Yeah.
We typically do not meet
No town business. Yep.
in a building where elections are being
No town
actively
business.
held.
Okay, so I have so much time available, so I'm off for a while, so I don't really care.
So the question becomes whether you're talking about just looking for another night that same week, or what your plan is.
Okay. Let's see here. What about, can we just do it the next day, Wednesday the 6th?
That's on you guys, your schedules.
Doesn't matter to me.
That works.
2 out of 5? Sarah?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
You want to
that's a-
think
that's
about
a soft
that?
yes. It's a soft yes.
It's just, all of us, my schedule's so locked
Yeah.
Sandy,
down.
can you come? Will you join us for that?
Sure.
Why not? This is the place to be. Don't you live here?
Oh, do we need to schedule with recording?
Tyler? Are you available?
That's a Bernardston-Northfield.
Oh, right.
That means you have to find Otis.
What about,
Well, there's still the broadcast.
The broadcast, yeah.
If that matters.
Conflict of broadcast.
oh, gotcha.
Oh dear.
One won't be live, that's all. We
Well,
wouldn't
I-
be live.
We'd be
could be
recorded,
recorded.
but not live.
It's gonna be it's
Three
just-
disappointed people out there.
Well, it's gonna. Well, it's gonna, I was just gonna say it's gonna be used against us because then they're gonna think we're trying to pass dirty business or something. Because that's usually what people think when you're not recording it. so.
Now, is the finance committee meeting on Monday the 4th? Would that be?
They are, and I believe that's the tech school
Ooh.
presentation night.
So this room's occupied.
Oh,
Yeah, you're gonna have the tech, they're gonna be meeting with the tech school, so.
the 7th.
I can't. But that doesn't,
You could do the 6th, it just won't be live, just so you know, you will be recorded.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I like being on TV.
Still be on TV, just a little later.
Wow.
do it on Friday night. Have
Prime
a
time.
fun Friday night
Prime
here.
time, yeah.
Oh God, no, not again.
Yeah, no.
So our next meeting after the 5th then would be the 19th. I suppose that would be too long to be waiting for selectmen business?
Yes.
Well, we got to do our payroll and.
Oh, yeah.
We'd still have to do that on the election day anyway, right? That's
Yeah, you still have to stop in that week to get those warrants
on
signed,
that.
Or there's always,
because you have to process.
Yeah.
if we did it on the 12th, and then we just would have 2 weeks in a row of meetings.
Then, from a hiring standpoint too.
That would still work,
Wait,
because she's not gonna start till the 18th.
Why don't
Okay.
we just do it on the 6th and
Yeah.
put it up after? Because I think we're going to really throw everything into chaos if we try to move it too much.
All right. The 6th it is.
I like the 2-week buffer.
Yeah, I do
It
too.
got sucked up this last time, but I normally like, having
Well,
at least a buffer in there. Yeah.
Cut Bernardston off the program, just like it's the Al Sullivan show or something. Just put us on instead, Tyler.
Preempt
Could do
them.
Well, we could go earlier.
that. Oh, we could do that.
Okay,
All right.
the 6th.
Okay,
The
so we're all
6th.
set.
It
The
is.
6th it is.
Yep.
Fire Department succession planning, fire chief hiring packet / screening committee appointments.
Ooh.
So I know you guys talked about what you would want to see requested from any applicant, and then the idea of putting together a committee. It'll take a little while. That's why I'm kind of saying, even if you start to form that committee, because I assume that, like you guys talked about, that containing a couple residents, so you want to put out there a few weeks where people could submit letters of interest. So it takes a good month from the time you start doing this to actually form that, and then you'd be into almost April. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. The way you had thought about doing it, and then you've got to ask the fire department, because you had thought about 2 fire department appointees, somebody from EMS, somebody from Selectboard, somebody from police, and 2 citizens. And that was a 7-member total. That was the initial discussion. So I'm just bringing it to you guys to start thinking about which way you want to go, whether you want to do the committee and they put that together, whether you put that together and give the committee the charge.
So
how did you want to handle that?
Two things on that, as far as my opinion goes. As far as composition goes, that was what I was spitballing, so by no means let that dictate. If anybody has a better composition, throw it out there. Number two, as far as sort of marching orders, requisites and stuff, I'd say that would be the purpose of the committee, in my opinion, that we kind of let them pool together what requirements are there for a fire chief, working with Andrea to know legally what are we expecting, and then maybe get some help seeing if there's other similar positions that are posted in any sort of reasonable time frame and sort of what their requirements were, and then have that come back to us here instead of us doing that work.
Sounds
as
fine
far
to
as
me.
the select board goes. But kind of the purpose of that committee, that was what I thought it would be, is figuring out everything that this is going to require, and then also what members of the fire department would want to see as well. Like maybe there might be certain things they want to see out of a potential successor.
Well, I know we had looked a while back. I can't remember who I discussed this with, but Whately went through a process just this past year. And so I think you and I, when we were looking at something to do with the fire chief, looked on their website, so we could always look at what they did too. Because they started a few months in advance, like around this time last year, and then they concluded, I think in June, so the person was hired around the fiscal year close. And it was a similar thing, part-time, professional, similar job description, etc. So that might be a model that we could just, I don't think Whately's, how big is Whately?
Like 1,800, I think.
Yeah, smaller.
Yeah, so they're even smaller than we are, but like Bernardston size, yeah.
So is that something you want a committee to do?
I think just set it up, I think look at the process that they followed and use that as an outline for the committee to follow, so that they're not like starting from
We don't have to
total
start
scratch.
over
Yeah.
on these things. We've hired.
We don't have to reinvent the.
We've hired
Yeah.
department heads before. We've done this. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, right?
So the question is, have you decided what kind of committee you want and how you want to move forward on that?
I like to go and look at the Whately stuff because I like the not reinventing the wheel. And I know that we hate to do this, but can we kick it one more week so that we have a chance to do that? I don't have useful contribution without having looked at that.
Sounds fair to me.
Can you just get from their administrator the steps that they followed? And then maybe we can, and like the composition of the committee, just to kind of compare it to your spitball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are other, there might be other, in a week we can, Professor Google will have some information about other.
Okay. Good? Yeah, we're gonna move on. Next agenda item.
Yeah.
Six-town regionalization, regional agreement representative appointments.
So, they're looking for the select boards to appoint, doesn't have to be you, 2 representatives from each town to work on a regional agreement process. Now, don't have to be select board members, and they're hiring a consultant to help lead the project.
You don't want me near that.
The meetings are planned to be by Zoom, and so I just wanted to throw that out there. You guys can decide.
And this is for the school district.
This would be potentially for the 6-town regional.
This is for them
school.
to create a new district agreement for
Oh, I
this
don't want anything to do with
fictional
that.
monster.
I don't want anything to do with that.
So, I didn't know if you wanted to throw out there that if there were residents who were interested in serving as your representatives, or if any of you want to serve as representatives, they're looking for you to forward them a couple of names, ultimately.
Well, I'm going to put that under announcements. I'll speak about that again at the bottom.
So I'm confused, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I want to be upfront that just because somebody asks us to add things to our list of work to do doesn't mean that we have to do it. I mean, they are, I don't know. I feel, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm trying to be clear.
Say it.
That I think that, you know, saying, hi, we want you to come do this, I think no is also an okay answer. So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want to have Northfield represented on something that would eventually
I'm just
come back
I'm just
to
going to
the
play
town?
devil's advocate. I'm not in support of any option at this point. I am in support of keeping an eye on discussions. And the other thing I will point out, regardless of how we individually feel, this was voted, this 6-town planning committee was voted at a town meeting. That's why it was created. It's not people...
At our Northfield town meeting?
Correct. Yeah. All the towns voted on it.
To study it.
To
they voted
study
to
it.
create the committee and have a moderator appoint representatives.
So that they would then come back and present something to the citizens, right? So we might not agree with it. And the problem with these projects, both educational systems, regardless of how you feel about them, is they take years. So I don't know what town meeting this was. Was it 2019 that this was created? Okay, so back.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, back. Well,
there was an article.
Yeah, you can look it up. The so I think it's important to stay abreast, and if they're getting professional help, it will help inform us as we go through the process with PVRS as well. The district agreements in general are pretty dense, and they only come around once in a while. And my comment from last time, which I'll repeat this time, hopefully better and more clearly, is that both PVRS and both 6 towns need to present a case to all the citizens in all the towns, including Northfield. And one of the comments that I got that's really stuck with me from somebody who used to be on the HART committee a long time ago, which was responsible for the PVRS district agreement, one of the proposals is what they're really hoping for is they're tired of seeing people work in silos, and then they have to choose one or the other when they're not really understanding what the costs and the enrollment figures and what the other options are, as opposed to just voting on PVRS one time and then 6-town on another. So the reason why I'm speaking up is because this process is confusing, and if it's confusing to us, it's confusing to a lot of people, and I'd like for it to get above the quote-unquote district agreement level, because it's kind of forcing people one way or the other. So that's why I would want to stay mindful of and close to it. And I'd be happy to sit in on the Zoom meetings because I'm already looking at the district agreement for PVRS. But it's not because I'm in favor of it, it's because I want to look at it and understand what they're proposing so that I can help bring that information to light.
And I hear you, and I want to clarify that I'm not saying that, I'm not making a final determination of whether, I don't think that it's realistic to expect that all these towns will vote to change everything that they're doing. And so for me, it's just not realistic. It's not about even preference. It's about, you're putting the PVRS and this thought about, this imagined, you're putting a working school district against an imagined entity. And I think that is an uneven comparison. And I understand wanting to keep abreast, but I don't know that anyway.
Well, you know why? Is because of the cost. PVRS, with the enrollment numbers that they have, particularly in high school, and by the way, most of the high school is not Northfield people. in terms of numbers. So the numbers that they've shared at their budget indicate, a dip in the Northfield numbers. That's one reason why our assessment is a little bit lower, because we have fewer students in high school. But we're still paying 2/3 of our budget for the whole structure of the district. And with Warwick leaving, I'm not saying it's not working, I'm just saying it's a big cost. And that doesn't include the tech school, which when you look at the numbers in 7th and 8th grade, which are about 60 kids per class, that drops off into the 20s and even into 16 in the sophomore class at PVRS, because we're also paying for all of those kids who opt to go to the tech school. So I just want, it's not me, but I would love for somebody to come and explain how all three things work and what's the best option for people when they're going from junior high to high school. Because if we sign up for PVRS for another, is it 20 years or whatever, we're getting to that topic.
The original agreement doesn't have a limit.
Does this one? Does the new one, do you think?
I mean, you're talking about numbers, but we don't even know, the transportation numbers that Heath mentioned last time.
Yeah.
There's no information on that. And just think about it like, a housewife. So you go, if I had a choice between staying where I was and moving, the difference in the cost of living at that new place would have to be much lower, because the cost of the move and the upheaval and everything like that is a lot, right? And so the cost of upheaval from a system that we have that is on a trajectory that we have had, the people here and the state thinks is really on a good financial trajectory. They gave us back $200,000 or more.
That's because they didn't close out all of the accounts that they needed to. That's a one-off.
No. Well, yes, but that's not the people who are working now. That's them finding errors from previous.
Correct. Yeah.
And so
that's right.
They've done, and the state overseer really thinks that they're doing a good job and has commented on that. So not just from an organizational perspective, but from a performance perspective. And so I think that. If we want to know about the real numbers, but I would really, if you're going to participate, I would ask you to find those transportation numbers and make sure that they're realistic. Because I think often when we have dreams, the people who are working so hard, and they've been working really hard on this, right? And they're excited about it and want it. So we want to really kind of be down to earth on the, when the tire hits the road, what the actual expenses are going to be. Specifically when the tire hits the road, the expenses of the transportation.
I'm neutral. I'm looking, because there's not been enough discussion about cost that anybody on the street can understand.
There's a cost to the upheaval.
Yeah. Oh no, there's costs all the way around. That's what I'm saying.
And the
so
costs are going to go up.
The costs are going to go up for all schools. They continue to go up. And we have the tech school. I'm not advocating. I'm just saying they all cost money. And that's my major concern. And also I think parents, if any parents are out there watching, is we can all have our opinions here. It really is what the community wants and where they want to send their kids.
And what the community as a whole will vote for.
Correct. And they all have to vote on all of this anyway. Mm-hmm. So we could participate in this and it still would come before the town meeting. It's not going to, it's not.
I wasn't trying.
No, I'm just explaining.
I'm not sure how realistic, I think it's a little pie in the sky. But.
All right, so where are we at this point with this? Regional agreement representative.
So I just kind of want to summarize what I've heard from Sarah. So basically, it's a question of why do we want to take any sort of marching orders from them, and B's rebuttal is that if we don't get representatives from Northfield, they're going to move forward with this anyways, and we're not going to have any sort of stake.
We're not going to have
We're still going to have a stake in it because.
No, I'm saying in their regional, in their district planning process, in their regional, their regional agreement they want to create. If we fail to bring anybody forward because we just don't think this is a great idea, then we lose out on the representation of creating that district agreement. So, you know, what is it worth to us to not have somebody there in sort of a stance of protest against this thing that seems to be a bad idea? It's going to cost us more money and send our kids an hour on the bus ride versus getting someone on this to at least get through the regional planning portion of it. So
I think we should
Yes.
just
I'm
put
just-
out a call and
yeah.
citizens,
Yep. Put out a
letters of
call.
interest.
Put out a call, and if
Yeah.
nobody signs
And
up, I'll sit in.
are you going also? You gonna participate?
I'm trying to actually cut back, but
But you kind of have your finger on the pulse of
She
a
can
lot of
put
the
a
finance
letter
stuff.
in
It might
town,
be
yeah.
useful
or
to
just be there.
get the other, see if anybody else is interested. I'm just really concerned about district agreements in general. This is all coming from concern, not from trying to push a particular agenda, is district agreements kind of drive what we're supposed to be thinking about, and yet we're not having the discussion about what we're supposed to be thinking about. We just get presented with an agreement at the
Right.
end. Both of those processes. So I have problems from a process standpoint. It's almost like the cart is before the horse. We still don't understand the whole picture of education in this area. And that's really what I'm driving for. And I'm not sure how I'm going to get somebody to do this because I'm not an education expert.
But we do have
yeah.
Northfield representatives that are working on that district agreement as well. So
Yeah.
we dictate the pace of the things that come in front of us and the decisions that get made out towards the
Correct.
town as far as town meetings go and everything. So
Yeah.
this committee wants to push this through as fast as possible because they were talking in their most recent
I don't
meetings
wanna go
about,
fast.
well, we don't have time to do a special town meeting or we don't have time to make the annual town meeting this year. But who says we can't do a special town meeting at some point in the near future? Like they're talking about moving right away.
Well, this process
We move
is
nothing forward until
for
we feel like
February 2025.
this part is.
The regional district agreement would be completed by February 2025.
Okay.
That's their expectation.
And they still have to
So it's
go.
a year.
Anybody still has to go through DESI.
So what
they
they've
have to go
said
through the
is-
state thing.
Yeah.
They have
It's
to
a
go
long,
through
convoluted
all
process,
of
yeah.
the town lawyers.
What they wrote was
Correct.
basically, we expect much of the heavy lifting to be done by the consultant with the inclusion of ideas, suggestions, and consensus from conversations coming from the regional agreement group, which is be 3 of their committee members plus the 6 from the towns. The planning board will review, that's them, the bigger planning will review, deliberate, vote on recommendations from this group when necessary, and eventually vote on a final proposed district regional agreement. The consultant will also be required to include legal review, and the school committee will be encouraged to do the same. School committees will be encouraged to do the same. The consultants will also be required to keep DESI in the loop to be sure issues are resolved to their satisfaction. And their understanding is that their goal is for February 2025.
So we're not reading 22 pages tonight, right? We're not.
Oh,
reading-
God, no.
No. All they're asking for
Okay.
you is to try and get 2 people from the community to be involved in this process.
That's not a problem. Then we'll get them involved. We'll put
Yeah.
a call out, and that's all we can
Yeah.
do.
Just remember that 40 years ago, the towns all faced this same thing when you went from your own districts to the regional district. You went through this exact process of creating,
And we already solved it.
and it was a huge, turmoil then. Everybody felt it was a huge upheaval and it was a big change to create a regional district.
Here we are again.
Sending our kids an hour away though,
So
for hundreds of thousands of dollars more.
Yeah, well, that's the cost of education sometimes, unfortunately, especially when you pay a school administrator and
So
a
one
godly
thing-
amount of money more.
One thing that does happen as a result that I had talked to one of the 6-town folks is, regardless of what happens, if this all gets shot down, is it sends a message back to the state. The pressure has been from the state on regionalization.
Yeah.
And it's something that people really resist because of issues like transportation, right? And concerns about, they want the choice of where their kids can go to high school, right? And yet the states put the pressure on regionalization, and there's not enough money. This takes up everybody's budget. No matter what school options you have, it takes up 2/3 of Northfield's budget, right? So if anything, by going through this whole process and it all gets rejected, it sends a big, so to speak, message back to the state, like, these regionalization efforts that people have twisted themselves in knots over them, and we still don't have a solution.
Yeah. And
right?
the DESI head just resigned, so we're going to have a new DESI head. So, I mean, we don't know what direction the new person's going to be going.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
We're in a situation of flux right now.
Correct.
So.
May I ask a question though from what you just said?
Yeah.
Are you saying that the state is driving the sixth town?
No. They are pushing for regionalization in general as solutions to small schools.
They always have.
They always have.
That was the whole reason to put in regional transportation funding from the state, was to encourage towns
Right,
to
that
regionalize.
in the state, the thing?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that transportation funding is going to, I mean, anyway,
Well, the reason why I'm saying it is because we're kind of going through these exercises, and the way our districts are set up and what we have to pay for and how they're structured is because of a lot of state guidance and state direction, and yet we all, just like highways and stuff, we're all paying for it. On the backs of now, just for PVRS alone, Bernardston-Northfield and tiny Leiden, it's 50% of Leiden's budget. They have no revenue sources. So that's why I'm pushing. It's more on the process and the information and the options, and kind of like pushing back on these rural ideas that the state has about what we can afford and what we should be doing when to some extent, it's not sustainable.
Well, in the next 50 years, Massachusetts will not have 351 municipalities because it's not sustainable. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Anywho, that's just all my information download. It's really not a position. It's just, I'm just trying to sort through all of how we got there.
Okay, so which one are we technically on now then? The regional agreement, or?
You're down to Pioneer District.
Okay, so I'll keep this one short.
Questions to legal are in, but he hasn't gotten back to me.
Okay, good.
This is from last year, though. It's from December, right? And they've done more since then, or is this the most up-to-date one that we have here?
This is from February 2nd. We have not, what I'm going to hand out, I'm going to take a step back.
Oh, you're handing out a different one? Okay.
No, I'm handing out a schedule. I'm taking a step back from all of the detail that I normally dive into. If you want to pass that along.
I just need to clarify, this in front of us in our meeting prep is dated from December. This is from December, right?
Which one are you
Got
looking
some markups and notes.
That's from February 2nd.
It says this.
Yeah, it says.
Yes, their document dated that, but that's when you got it.
I got it on February 2nd. That's what they were reviewing at the February 2nd that Bernie Parada and I went to.
Okay.
Thank you.
And if it has scribbles on it, those are my scribbles.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to take a step back based on the phone call I had last night. So you all got the email from Patricia outlining the schedule for the district agreement and how hard they've been working. So the thing that I handed out is what's on the webpage for PVRS. And if you look at this schedule, it's unfortunately it's 2022 through 2023, but it basically outlines a process over the course of a year as to how you would get to a finalized district agreement. So the email that we recently got, and the reason why you saw the reaction if you saw Stan's email, is because what was laid out this should have happened last year, but instead they were focused on Warwick leaving. So the whole year got sucked up by...
Something had to be done, right?
Yeah.
Well, no comment. So, because I wasn't, just no comment. But this was the schedule that they laid out. So now the email schedule that we have says we will get the draft in early March, and basically we have March to go through what should be a year-long process. So that's why you saw the reaction from Stan Garland on Bernardston is...
I was like, go Stan. When he wrote that, I never see Stan Garland write things.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so can I ask
Yes.
a similar question to what Sarah just asked on the last one? Why are we at anybody's time frame. Like, we have our own business to do. We will review this at our leisure. We will let them know when we're done.
Correct. So,
We give them the money. We don't answer to them.
correct. This is how I feel as well.
Yeah.
I will, in fact, take a strong stance on this. Just from a process standpoint alone, this is a long process. The original document was 1991. We had several superintendents over the years and several changes. We have a new superintendent. I'm glad she's super organized. But Warwick took a year. Building a $100 million building and the visioning and the facilities took a whole nother year. I personally am not signing up to review district agreements with all of the detail and all of what's portends for the town financially. I'm not signing up for reviewing that just in one March and then taking it before a town meeting.
I need to clarify though, because I think that DESI review and return to the thing. So that's the state. Before they send anything to the towns, they have to send it to the state. And then here, the finalized district agreement sent to towns. That means that what they have finalized, and then we wouldn't be getting it till right here.
Oh, but look back to summer
No, look
2022.
at the collaboration points.
The towns were given it in the summer. Then there was a collaborative meeting in September to
That's what's already been.
No,
so
it's never
This
happened.
did not happen.
None of this happened.
This did not happen, and this is still on the website.
We're on the,
That's what
that's
I'm
a draft
saying.
we got.
The
Okay.
email that you
None
got
of
is
those
a
meetings.
This draft was sent by the school. This email
No.
that we have in our
she
email.
brought it from
Yeah,
her
that was
meeting.
what she
Oh,
went
okay.
from the meeting.
So they haven't finalized
No,
this.
They haven't sent anything.
So why are we arguing about it?
We're not.
Okay.
Here's what I want.
Because we don't need to worry about it until they send us something, and then we get to pick our timeline.
Well,
as he
that
said.
may or may not be true.
We need
I-
to preempt that.
We just
That's
need
why.
to be careful because I have a question into the attorney
Yeah.
as to whether or not, if they send a document, you are legally obligated to put it on your warrant,
Baloney.
like their budget. Well, I don't know that. I'm going to
Baloney.
get all those answers because there
Oh,
are
yeah.
some things that if your district sends you, including their full budget, you are legally obligated to put on a warrant. I'm not sure that this is the case here. I would like the attorney's response to that, as to what your obligations are if and when they send you a draft regional agreement or a regional agreement that they want you to put on town meeting.
But can I don't. Okay, so I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. But it's my understanding that all that DESI and stuff like that, that's like us sounding it to our town lawyer. Like the school, they say, this is what we want. We're going to send it to our lawyer.
Yeah,
they
that's
send it to
fine.
us, and then we need to do all our little markups and send it to our town lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't have any inside knowledge on this, but my understanding of looking at, like looking up on the state, I didn't see this, is that thing that they send us is for then us to make our decision or not. We're not forced to put it on that we still have to do. That thing that they send us is their draft, and if they've sent it to DESI, which they say that they would, they will have done that due diligence, right? That legal stuff. And then we get it, we mark it and do what we want, and then we send it to our lawyer.
There's two things here.
Okay.
One is, I'm pretty sure, well, first of all, you guys need to take a step back. The regional agreement is an agreement between these now 3-member towns on how to run a school district. It is not the district's agreement.
Yeah,
It is
I get that.
Bernardston, Leiden's. Well, people think, the district agreement, that they've started this process. That's why the Hart Committee actually started their own process and sent it to them. But now they've pushed that aside and they said, no, here's our regional agreement. You have to say, no, it's not your regional agreement. It's
I
your
don't get
regional
that, and I
agreement.
was surprised at the response, the open meeting law email thing
Right.
response.
So,
Because I didn't feel like they were I
But I
didn't
think
feel like the person
they
who wrote. Hang on, let me
drafted-
just finish. I didn't feel like the person that wrote that was responding to what was written in the email. And again, I think that we have when it comes to us, we're getting like the final draft. I haven't gotten the impression that this is a demand letter. I've gotten this is a
But what you have
final draft, and then we have to do our little stuff.
right,
on
just
it.
understand that they've drafted it
Yeah.
with their attorney. Yeah. And whether or not they've sent it, DESI's not legal. That's not a legal opinion. DESI's going to say, does it violate state law? No, you're good. That's all DESI's going to do. DESI's not a legal opinion like a lawyer can say.
Well, we're going to send it to our lawyer when we get it.
Yeah. But they haven't sent it to you yet.
Right.
And then you guys have to have time to review it. Then the residents haven't seen it.
Right.
And then you're going to send, probably after you look at it, residents look at it, send it to your attorney. Your warrant closes March 18th, 1 month from now.
So let me ask a question. I'm not trying to be jerk. I'm just
sure
trying to get really to the kernel of it.
Can I
just, why do we
sent you a timeline?
Why do we have to have it by, do we have to have it at, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Town meeting. Is there some legal reason why we have to have it by town meeting other than it's a pain it's troublesome to have another?
Well, I just want to make sure that, because like I said, there are different obligations with regional schools, that the question is answered, and I have asked the attorney, I did not get the answer today. If they send you a document and say, put it on your warrant as the district, is there a legal obligation like their budget for you to do that? I am not clear.
Has anybody sent a demand letter like that though?
No, but if they send this to you in March as a finalized version, what if they do? What if you have to by law put it on? You guys need to talk about it now.
You've got the steps, Sarah. You've got the steps. It's the timeline assumptions that I wrote back separately to Patricia and said the timeline's too short.
Way too short. We have one meeting.
Okay, so
we
the
have one meeting.
timeline's too short. So that's our answer.
But we need to send that back because we need to send an email. This is what I'm asking the board tonight. It's just a timeline issue that we will, similar to Stan, but in a different tone perhaps.
No, I like Stan's approach. It's very direct.
Per what Stan said, no. This is on the PVRS website under the subcommittee looking at the district agreement. This is out of date, and it outlined a year-long process that included a lot of collaboration at different points with the towns. That's a process that looks good. The email that we got constrains that and puts it basically into the month of March for this year's town meeting. If I follow this schedule, which makes more sense to me, and just change the dates, we're really talking about next year's town meeting. So what I want the select board to be able to do, and this is what I heard loud and clear from the Leiden person, they were going to be meeting this morning, so I don't know how they voted as a group, but they were really stunned by the expectation that it would go on this year's town meeting. And we're all kind of in the same boat, which is we have to finish up and get stuff on the warrants. And we would actually have to discuss it, and there's no time for legal review, basically. If you send us a document in March and expect it to be on our town meeting, there's no time to do that.
Well, it's an easy answer then, right?
It's an easy answer. So I want to take a motion tonight to direct the chair to send an email back to Patricia on behalf of the select board that we like this process that was outlined. We're concerned about your assumptions that it's going to be on this year's town meeting.
This is not a timeline we are willing to.
We're not comfortable with.
It's not achievable.
No,
Okay.
not achievable.
Yeah.
So it's not an achievable timeline.
So that's all I'm asking for tonight. I kind of already dove into like contract stuff and what kinds of concepts come up in district agreements. And then after talking with this person from Leiden last night, I'm like, wait a minute. This is a simpler thing. We need to slow down.
Yeah.
Same thing with Sixtown. We need to go step by step. So I just want to preempt whatever Patricia sent out because she's making assumptions about the timeline.
Yeah.
That I, as an individual, wrote back to her and said, I think this doesn't make sense at all. And I think you should go ahead and send a draft now as opposed to me, printing off a copy from, from one of your public meetings. So if we could take a vote to direct the chair to send an email back to the superintendent and the chair of the subcommittee that we're not on board with this timeline, essentially.
Let them know.
And I have some language worked out for you if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Get it written, write it to them.
Get a language for a motion.
Yeah. No.
So moved.
So moved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No one
Second.
so moved.
Thank you, Bernie.
Look at that.
I didn't want you to have to repeat that again.
Sandra, yeah, I knew it was coming.
Everybody said it at once. Not even close.
So it was the motion was that the select board requests the chair to send an email to
The superintendent.
the superintendent
And the
of
chair
PBRS
of the
and the chair of the
District
subcommittee,
Agreement Subcommittee.
that the timeline as expressed in her email
Correct.
Not adequate.
is not adequate.
Realistic, whatever language you want to use.
Achievable, whatever.
Achievable.
Achievable
Let's
for
use
this
neut-
town
neutrally-
meeting.
Yes,
neutral language.
for this May.
Yeah. And then I'd like to have that email CC'd to the Bernardston and Leiden select boards as well, because then
Their
we will be
chairs.
doing
We-
their
yeah, we-
chairs. So add that to the, and then this can be taken up by the 3 towns at a separate meeting.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Sorry, it takes a village. Thank you.
Okay, so now that motion has been finalized,
So moved.
and then it was seconded, yes. Basically, this is the further
This is
discussion.
fun.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you,
Unanimous
guys.
passing and support for that letter.
All right.
That polite letter.
Yes, well. School Resource Officer Select Board Statement.
I didn't see anything in here. Was there
No,
anything in
Heath,
here?
you were gonna draft something?
Yes. Try to make it as short as possible. So, feel free to critique whatever language, but in light of recent police activity involving the Pioneer Valley Regional School District and in the interest of public safety and promoting positive interactions with police, the Northfield Select Board would like to urge the Pioneer Valley Regional School District to reopen the discussion regarding the implementation of a school resource officer. The board would like the school district to put forward a good faith effort, as they have with similar recent efforts, to petition the public for their opinion on this matter, i.e. community meetings, newsletters, electronic surveys, and make a determination on the applicability based on what the wants of the taxpayers is determined to be.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, that was good. The only thing I would say minor is you're asking the district school committee, right? You said the district. Is it to the school committee?
That is the school committee.
They're the governing body of the school
Okay.
district.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Do you want to be more like specific? Sometimes when you're asking for performance, you want to be kind of specific about what you ask. Like we had talked about, I don't know. We had talked about that survey kind of thing or something like. Do we
think
want to
he's
ask
got
for
that-
something specific?
No, I think he's
I
got
say
that
community
covered.
meetings, newsletters, and electronic surveys.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just leave it in their hands, but just say we would like more community
Yeah.
input.
Well, it's in their hands anyway.
And not, but I mean the choice of like whether or not they respond is in their hands, but also if they were to do this, that would be in their hands. One of your concerns at the last meeting was anonymity or repercussions or something like that? Do we want to add anything about anonymity? I'm just, you asked for a comment and that was something that you had said specifically, so I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, people have brought that up, but I don't know how we, in our position, would.
Do we want to offer our support? Do we want to say we would help with, surveys or anything like that?
I mean, they've done this for the child care and the facilities plan, and they didn't put any shred of that kind of an effort towards
Yeah.
the SRO stuff. And that's what we're asking, is that they don't just make a decision based on their prejudice toward police and teach our kids that they actually are asking for money from these towns, massive amounts of money, get their opinions on what they want in their schools to protect their kids. And if at that point the overwhelming majority, instead of just 2 people from the guidance office, says we don't want to have police in our schools, then the communities have spoken. But
I think it says that we don't have any control of how they react.
Right.
You're providing recent examples of the kind of outreach, that we've all come to admire. The surveys, you listed all of those specifics. So I think that's fine.
I think we're just asking them to have open and honest communication rather than the dodgy shell game they played with this SRO process last summer.
But we're going to leave that language out, right?
I don't know. I think it's why beat around the bush? Like, what you guys did was obvious and underhanded. Like, don't do that again and judge what the community wants.
Well,
But no, I think this was
yeah.
I think what I had here said, I think what we need to say, unless you feel like there's something else that needs to be added.
I move that we accept his statement on behalf of the select board.
Second.
Discussion. Who's signing it? Do you want us all to sign it? Or whoever?
You can instruct, well, if you send it to us and put it on letterhead, you could have Alex sign it on behalf of the board.
I think that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
You want a motion that?
So you can, right, motion that the board approves Alex to sign.
The board approves it, give Alex permission to sign
A letterhead.
the letter,
The message on letterhead.
the message
Yeah.
on letterhead.
On archival paper. No.
No.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I said aye.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Andrea, I will send that to you now.
Yeah, and then we'll get it on paper, and then we'll tell Alex when it's ready to be signed, and he can come in and sign it.
You got so much time, I can just come in and sign
That's
it. We'll get it
right.
right out the door.
Maybe if we're lucky, he'll bring
Yeah.
the baby.
Oh, and one other idea on the district agreement is I want to build in support for the police department too
Absolutely.
over the next year. So that's the other reason why I want to take this time. And if your proposal isn't going to work, then maybe bring it up in the district
Implement
agreement.
it into the agreement. Get law enforcement involved in the agreement.
Well, and see what Bernardston and Leiden think based on their.
They've always been supportive of their departments as well, to my understanding.
Well, they also have a say in what happens. Like, I know it's a Northfield police officer, but they also should have a voice as well. It's not just Northfield's community; it's everybody pitching in.
Right.
And these are their children.
And if there's a larger emergency in any school, they all have to go. So Bernardston Police would come over here, Northfield Police would go over there, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so
I know that the people making
we're
the
not
decision not to have the cop there won't be the ones there in emergency, so it's easy for them to make the decision. So.
Okay.
Can I add something that I missed from before, because I think it's important. I think that one of the things that I did was I met with the town administrator, and we talked about an update on the dog bite incident. And so the bicycle dog bite incident.
Yes.
And that that has had its 3-month check, and the vaccination, the chipping, the more collars, the fencing, and the retraining were all performed as requested.
Good.
So is that a proposed agenda topic, or you're just giving an
I
update?
was giving, that was a meeting that I had with the town administrator that I was updating.
Oh, gotcha.
A follow-up report, and it was satisfactorily carried out.
Put it in for meetings attended by Sarah.
Thank you. And thank
Well
you.
done, Sandy. Okay. Town clerk code red request, election information. I believe this is a simple request for the town clerk's office to be able to use the code red notification system when an election is happening at our town hall.
Based on the policy you most recently passed for non-emergency use, that those requests come to the select board, and she would like to craft a message. You got a sheet of paper with all the dates. That's for your information. She won't read that lengthy sheet, but to put something together specifically emphasizing the town's,
the
elections.
caucus too?
Yes.
Has the ability to boost our election and political participation.
Right.
Yes.
So she would like to have a message put out on the code red to do.
So do we need to we need a vote? Okay.
Yes, you have to approve it.
I move that we approve the town clerk code red request, specifically around election information.
Second by Bernie, motioned by B. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Yay.
Well done.
It's 8:15.
Time off request. We don't ever state time off request of who it is or what the hours are, but that there is a request for time off for somebody connected to the town of Northfield, and that the chair will ultimately sign off on it. But we just
Do we pass it around?
basically look at it. Where is it?
It was in your, it might be one in here.
It's here.
It was in your packet too. There should have been a copy of it. Or might not have been.
Didn't make my packet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once in a while we mention who it is, but we never say the time, the length of time taken off or what time for security reasons.
Okay. I move that we approve the time off request.
There's an attachment on it if you.
A motion is on the floor to approve the time off request. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Heath. Is there any further discussion on the time off request motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous passing for the time off request that was prescribed to this board. Okay. We got Oleg on
Needs to
the
sign.
building committee.
Oh, you gotta sign that, my
oh, yeah.
friend.
Let me sign that here. Signature of supervisor. That's right.
Oh, motion to approve, oh, sorry, are you on to
Okay.
committee or you got anything from 48?
No, we're good. E. Peter Vierling as an election officer, term expiring 8/15/2024.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Proposed agenda item.
Yes. It's an old favorite.
No.
Which is now
This is
March
just-
6th, but just in case you have the
Yeah, just a
document.
heads up. We got a notice from the planner at FERCog. We've had a nice break in the action from hydro relicensing the past 6 months.
Oh, no.
We're not sure when FERC will issue their REA, ready for environmental analysis, but we are expecting it could happen anytime over the next several months. When the REA is issued, we expect we'll have 60 days to submit motions to intervene and comments and recommended license terms. So this will be an agenda topic in the next few months. Stay tuned. But this is the next step in the process where Northfield can actually have commentary. So, and it's important. So FYI.
Just one on the future agenda topics.
Thank you.
I do have appointment of the Grant Development Director and Fire Chief Hiring Committee on the 6th as of this meeting. Just so you know.
Will we need any follow-up on the regional agreement timeline?
You might.
Yeah, I would just see what you get back for a response.
Okay.
And also if we can get the 3 towners together at some point. That's the other thing. I'm talking with the FinCom.
I would really like to bump up that town moderator and town meetings discussion, just because we have stuff coming up, and I think it'd be good for the citizens to hear from him.
Once he's back in the country.
Jealous.
Oh, and do we need to, I was gonna put something together for the old firehouse, Boy Scouts, ARPA. Is that something that comes here, or should I take it to ARPA? Are you?
Yeah, you submit it to, you can put it in my box or whatever, and then
Okay.
I call the ARPA committee together to review
Okay,
anything.
cool.
And then it comes here. It might end up there because
Does
ARPA
that-
meets together pretty quickly.
Okay.
So the Boy Scouts don't own it, the town owns it.
Correct.
So is it a town
nice
hall
police
master
station.
plan committee
sorry?
thing?
Like a nice police
It's
station.
sort of been,
Not with Rotten Sills.
I mean, the
it
town
won't.
owns the library, but it's kind of like run by the library. It's sort of been always run by the Boy Scouts, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Sort of delegated to
It
them,
doesn't
even though
have
the
heat
town
or
owns the
anything,
building.
so it
So,
needs a. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if anyway, we put it on the agenda because we'll need to figure out who actually drives that forward. In the past, we've had a committee that looked at improvements to town hall, and maybe that's where the Boy Scouts could use some help, right? Because they're not necessarily building experts, they're just using the building. So, just a thought to help it along. That's probably why it hasn't been done, is because it hasn't been assigned to a committee.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, good. Announcements. Just a reminder for six-town regionalization. We're looking for representatives to be a part of that, so let's get that taken care of.
Can we put that on the website?
Oh,
will.
we want the other fire succession plans. We were going to revisit that from today.
Yeah, Fire Chief Hiring Committee.
Yeah, she's
got
got
it for the 6th.
All right. We have a recognition of service for Chief Donnell from the Bernardston
nice.
Police Department. Northfield Selectboard, please accept my thanks and appreciation for Chief Donnell's participation in a regional active assault integrated response class this past weekend. It is truly appreciated to see leadership from the front when department heads participate in such training leading to more first responders to seek such training to better serve our communities. Respectfully, Sergeant John Richardson, badge number 4-2, Bernardston Police Department.
Nice.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Skip.
And to Skip for taking the initiative to do an important training for an important reason.
I think it involved, they also had training with the EMS and police, and anyway, there were some Facebook photos of all the
Do we
stuff
wanna-
they've been doing over there.
Okay,
Can I make
so
a motion to go to executive session?
I will be doing. I'm going to read them, and then we can so move them. Andrea, is it okay if we read both at the same time, or would you like to do one first?
No, I think what you would say is you're going to vote to go into an executive session, read the first one, only to adjourn to go to a second executive session, only to adjourn with not to come back to regular session.
The first one
You'll
will
have
be.
to read them both.
The first one will be at 8:30, though.
I
that's
think you
our
could do the
scheduled time.
first one first.
You think it's going to take 5 minutes?
Yeah. Well, you could do the first one first. Take a break and then do that one and then do the other one. Right. It doesn't matter which order you want to do them in. That's up to you.
Okay.
You can do the first one.
So the motion's still the same regardless of,
Right.
yeah.
We just want to make
You
sure
got to
that
read the
we're-
right in the right order. But
We don't have to
Okay.
hold it at 8:30. We can hold it 5 minutes early.
yeah, you could start.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. So we're going to
Yes.
vote to adjourn from each one and going into the next one.
Right, but you'll not return to open session.
Okay, okay. So we'll be entering 2 executive sessions, one for executive session MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than the professional competence of an individual, or discuss the discipline or dismissal of, or complaints or charges against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. Then to leave said executive session and to enter into another executive session for MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, emergency services location, real estate, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. Not to return to open session.
So moved.
You have to wait. He has to say. You have to declare that. So declared.
And I so declare that.
Yes.
That it
Goes
will have a
on the record.
detrimental effect.
So moved.
Yep. And we have, the motion has been technically spoken by me, but also technically motioned by Sarah. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Oh,
I'll give that to B.
Oh, you can give it to Bernie.
Um,
He's been on fire tonight with
Well,
the,
yeah,
with the
he's
motions.
spicy. And then we're going to take a roll call vote at this time.
Yes.
And then we'll be leaving.
BS.
Alex, yes.
Bernie, yes.
Heath, yes.
Sarah, yes.
That concludes our business for this episode.
And this broadcast.
And this broadcast. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.